Tomlin's banged-up Steelers, the Ravens had a chance to clinch the AFC North.
Looking for Cole. He has it. End zone. Touchdown, Ravens. Keep it going. Let's go. Keep it going, guys. Keep it going.
Pittsburgh was working with a patchwork offense, but a steel resolve. Baltimore had won 15 straight at home. The Steelers had never beaten the Ravens with Ben Roethlisberger sidelined. Behind third-stringer Charlie Batch, Pittsburgh overcame long odds and a 10-point deficit.
And that is a catch by Snow, reaches for the pylon. And they call it a touchdown. We got a barn burner in the team.
One more time and win it. Sure. One more time. It's all here right now. It's going to be all here right now.
With the score tied at 20, the 37-year-old Batch was 5 for 5 on a drive that chewed up the game's final 6 minutes.
Steelers will let the clock run down.
They want to play for overtime. Not again, they try to take time on the clock and get a field goal.
You got a house preference? Me neither. How about Sweesom? Sean Sweesom has only won this all season long. It's snapping, holding, and protecting. I ain't worried about 6.
The snap is down. Sweeson's kick is on its way. That kick is good. And the Pittsburgh Steelers upset the Baltimore Ravens. The AFC North has not yet been decided.
All right, tough team. Come on in here, 1-6. It's good to see that you got 1 trick or 2 left for us. Good job, man. Way to hold the fort. Beautiful.
All right, joining us now is Mike Tomlin's William and Mary College teammate. He's also a member of the NFL's 2000 All-Decade Team and Super Bowl 44 champion. Was that good enough to lead up to you? Perfect.
Man,
That was Mr.
six-time All-Pro.
6-time
Give it to
All-Pro.
him, man.
Darren Sharper.
You keep going.
Hey, look, listen to him.
You know how
I'm gonna let you go.
Chris Collinsworth? And here's Chris. Good enough for me.
We saw in those highlights, of course, Mike Tomlin congratulating the players after the game. But prior to that, the handshake or a lack thereof between he and Baltimore coach John Harbaugh. Anything going on there?
Yeah, it's definitely something going on because there's bad blood between these two coaches. You think about the fact that the teams do not like each other, so that carries over to the coaches because they're the one preaching to the team before the games. And before this game, there was a little bit of an incident in which Coach Harbaugh had some comments after they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, when he knew the camera was on too.
Toughest team won that football game. The mentally tough team won that football game. The better team won the football game. The team that knows how to win won that football game.
So that lets you know right there.
You know,
And
yeah.
Coach Tomlin, like all coaches do, they watch everything. They read the papers. They try to say they don't. They read the papers. They look at television.
No, hold
and he
on.
thought that was a message towards his team. He
Are
took
you
that.
speculating this?
No, I know this for sure. I talked to Mike, and after the game, I asked him about the handshake, and he said that, there is some bad blood there, and he did not appreciate what Coach Harbaugh said post-game after the first victory.
I can say from a first-hand standpoint, he knows everything I say, too. He came after me a couple times,
You
too.
experienced that, huh?
That's all right, though. Let it go.
Well, you know what? What hasn't been let go, the comments of Ed Reed after that game as well, too. Ed Reed said the following. All of a sudden, the NFL is starting to get sued for all the stuff they haven't protected over the years and they haven't done. Now you want to take it out on us? Take it out on yourself. It's easy for them to do the things they're doing, finding us, and make us look bad, like we're the bad guy, and we're not. You guys agree with that?
I think that everybody across the board, all ex-NFL players and everybody in the league right now, it's the fines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that you get fined, it's the severity of it. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they were going to take Ed Reed's whole paycheck from him.
$423,000.
Man, that is just incredible. They did reduce it finally, but I think that's why one of the huge complaints the players have.
I've got to say, I've never felt sorry for a defensive player in my life. I just haven't. That's part of my nature, right? I just haven't. But I do now.
Why?
Well, I think there are 2 particular instances. One is when a defensive lineman is coming after a quarterback and he goes up to try and block the pass And then, so he's like this, the pass gets over his head. Now his hands have got to come down, and they hit the head of the quarterback. A lot of times not hard.
On Thomas and on Tannehill.
Exactly. And the other one is the same situation for a defensive back. When a receiver's coming across the field, the defensive back is going to try to go for the ball. At some point, he's going to realize, I can't get the ball. Now I've got to go to the player, which means I've got to come down and get him, and that's where a lot of the blows to the head and the helmet-to-helmet stuff comes. I don't think, without intent, there really should be any fines. And right now, we're seeing a lot of accidents being fined.
But you saw the Ed Reed hit, if you will. You're a safety as well. You agree that he should have been fined?
No, he should not have been fined because his initial focus was to try to knock that football out. As he's coming down, the receiver's catching the ball, he's thinking, okay, I have a chance to get the football. I get there when the ball is caught. Now let me try to draw this ball out. And all of a sudden, the receiver turns around and it's helmet-to-helmet contact. The thing about it, the game is going too fast to be able to change your target point when you're trying to tackle a guy. You're always trying to say, okay, if I go after a player high, I'm going to get fined. The next thing you're going to do is start hitting them low. So now it's two people that might get hurt because you're going to end the guy's career, and also you're putting yourself at risk because you're lowering your head trying to hit a guy low.
That's the point that I think is most important.
You're caught in limbo as a catch-22 because you don't know how to attack a guy. And this is what Ed Reed is talking about. When he first got to the league and he hit guys, he wasn't getting fined. And now, all of a sudden, they're trying to find him for ways.
There is a culture change in the league. My question to you, would you find it extremely difficult with the rules the way they are now to cover a wide receiver in football?
Well,
I never had problems. I didn't have too much problems covering receivers, but, you know, trying to get the shots in which I am trying to jar the ball loose, you know, trying to get to the receiver before the ball gets to the receiver. You're caught now. You're caught now because you don't know how to attack a receiver. You know, you think about the target area. If he's trying to protect himself, all of a sudden he lowers the point that you were initially focused on hitting him, and that's next thing you know is helmet to helmet. You're losing money.
That's the number one point that I think needs to be emphasized here is how dangerous it is for defensive players right now. Because by trying to avoid hitting the helmet, you'll see defenders ducking their head to try and get below the helmet line, which now creates a situation where the guy making the hit may be the one in the most danger.
And before we leave this segment, I got to get this in. Charlie Batch was awfully emotional, more so than I've seen. What was the deal?
Well, you know, a couple things, JB. I think he knows it's late in his career, and they need him really bad to keep in the playoff race. But you follow the news. Last week, Charlie Batch got skewered all week long, all Sunday, everything after. People making fun of him. A guy that's got pride, of course. He's been in the league 15 years, so he knows how important that game was. They won it. You saw the shots of him after the game. Sobbing, crying, hugging players because it meant that much to him. And quite honestly, I even said it during the game. I wasn't surprised he played well because I could see how much it meant to him when we talked to him.
He is prideful, and like we were talking about, when you get to that stage in your career, everyone is looking to push you out. And you're always trying to prove your worth when you get to your upper 30s because a lot of times we know this is a young man's league. So that's why he was so emotional, because he did help that team win, and also he proved his worth to the football team. And also might have made a couple extra dollars because he might get a couple extra years in the league now. Back here until he's 40 years old.
A lot more thoughts coming from Darren Sharp in the show. By the way, Phil said at 39, he was still wearing them out in the league.
That's out here. That doesn't surprise me.
All right, folks, let's get back to the highlights. And we head to Detroit for a close-up look at a player every